to ask you about the ongoing lack of any secondary school in Dublin 7 and Ashtown, whereby people can choose to send their children to a school that isn't segregated by gender or religion. We have a huge time lag between the changing society, but the establishment doesn't seem to be willing to change at the same pace, and thus there is no inclusive education at secondary level available to people in the area.
Thank the Deputy for the question. As the Deputy will be aware, in April 2018 the Government announced plans for the establishment of 42 new schools over the next 4 years, 2019 to 2022. The announcement follows nationwide demographic exercises carried out by the Department into the future need for primary and post-primary schools across the country, and the 4-year horizon will enable increased lead-in times for planning and delivery of the necessary infrastructure. While the announcement did not include a new post-primary school for the Cabra-Phibsborough D7 school planning area, a new 1,000-pupil post-primary school was announced to open in 2022 in the adjacent Drumcondra Marino Dublin 1 school planning area. The requirement for new schools will be kept under ongoing review, and in particular will have regard for the increased rollout of housing provision as outlined in Project Ireland 2040. The Cabra-Phibsborough Dublin 7 school planning area is currently served by 8 post-primary schools, including Cabra Community College, which is under the patronage of City of Dublin Education and Training Board. Cabra Community College is multi-denominational in nature and provides for the local community and could potentially bring additional capacity of this nature to the area. As I indicated to the Deputy recently, I understand that the City of Dublin, ETB and Educate Together have started discussions in relation to possible partnership with a view to Educate Together involvement in existing school provision at second level in the Dublin 7 area. I am supportive of this initiative, which has the potential to add to and enhance the availability of additional choice in the area, and my department is engaging with the bodies concerned as required.
Specifically on how this issue could be resolved in the quite immediate term, I agree that Cabra Community College is an extremely viable option. I visited the school last week. I met the principal. I was shown around with Rita Harold, who's our representative in that area. I was really pleased with his openness. You could see also the potential for the people of Cabra to really benefit from a school that will be enhanced, will be able to deliver more subjects, more options for their children. So I think it's a really good option. However, if this is to be the site, the ETB and Educate Together are having discussions, which is really good. But if this is to be the site, we need a definite commitment from the government that they will fund a new school building, which would obviously be required in addition to the existing building that's there. And obviously we would need other resources as well. So could you tell people, particularly the Secondary Options Campaign, who've done great work in progressing this issue in the area, is the state willing to fund this immediately if the ET and ETB have a successful discussion?
Thank you, Deputy Burton.
Thank you. Can I again tell the Minister that myself, Deputy Coppinger and Deputy Chambers attended another packed public meeting in relation to getting, as the question says, a second level, multi-denominational, non-denominational and, very importantly, co-educational school for this part of the Dublin 15, Dublin 7 area. I should explain to the Minister that this is my home area. So, for instance, I very much am pleased by your comments about Cabra Convent. You could have added in Stanhope Street and other schools, which are fantastic schools. However, all of those schools, like St Declan's, just between those two convent schools, are all single denominational. And there is a very, very strong demand both for a multi-denominational and for co-educational offering at second level. The offer in relation to Cabra West and Kilkieran Road is an excellent potential possibility. Obviously, the parties have to come to an agreement on that, but I can say that as a public representative for the area, there is a need, and I will give it all my support as I have given it since the campaign started some time ago.
Minister.
And I hope the Minister can recognise it and acknowledge and confirm that we're going to get this as soon as possible.
Minister, please.
Yeah, look, I'd like to thank both deputies for their intervention, and just to assure Deputy Coppinger that we're not designing a new wheel here. We have form here. We have in the history of Clonturk College in 2016, which was a partnership between Educate Together and City of Dublin ETB, and for the 2018-19 year, they had 200 students. So, like all schools, most schools, and especially in your area with all the population pressures and all that, they will grow and they'll continue to grow. And whether it's the Clonturk School or whether it's the discussions that are ongoing for St Kevin's and Crumlin at the moment as well, another potential ETB Educate Together solution, investment does follow as the numbers grow, and obviously if there's a need for any investment at an early stage, that's something that our department is willing to look at. But I don't want to preempt any decisions in that regard at this stage, because we have to find a solution and to get to an agreement in the first instance.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Coppinger, to conclude.
No, all we're asking, obviously Educate Together and the ETB, they have done it before, we know that, so they're well disposed to doing it again. The difference being that there is an existing building here, but it would need significant enhancement. Interestingly, the school is as sturdy and solid as the day it was built in the 1940s, unlike a lot of the buildings that we see going up. But you would need a lot more capacity, and you'd need state-of-the-art, labs and so on. So I don't think the ETB or Educate Together would be upset if you came out today and said you're willing to put funds to something that they're discussing. And really, it shouldn't be up, to patrons to come together and do this, in my opinion. The state should be identifying a need and saying we will provide it. Because we have this mad situation, a time lag in this country, whereby, because of the interconnection between the church and the state, it is scandalous that you can't send your child to a non-segregated gender school in that entire area, one that isn't run by a religious patron as well, when there's clearly such a demand. This is happening all over Dublin and the country. So I would encourage you to please give that commitment now. And I would say to people, use the local elections, use the European elections to get these sort of commitments from yourselves and from the government, and we certainly will, in solidarity, be holding meetings and expanding this issue. Minister,
can you conclude?
Yeah, look, I'm happy to work with you on this, and the last thing I want to do is to be accused as a minister making a big announcement on the eve of a local election. It's not my style. It's not my form. I don't do it, and I don't think it's right to be, giving detail of what I will do in the future when I don't have any basis to make that decision. But just to reassure you, if you're looking at a school which you're naming there that was built in the 1940s and is still standing the test of time, one of the policies that has been changed, not in my time within the Department of Education, and I think all departments need to look at this, rather than always going for the greenfield site. There are some schools that are standing a couple of 100 years, or a school like this in the 1940s. If we can adapt that traditional structure, extend it for the new modern labs, and also to do up the existing school in an environmentally sustainable way, that's something I'm in agreement with, and certainly I'd be happy to work with all the hard-working TDs in that area.
All right.